welcoming on stage, we're going to first have Devansh Jain, Executive Director at Inox GFL Group, a visionary leader, ladies and gentlemen, with a very strong focus on the new energy sector, wind, solar, and of course EV batteries and chemicals. He's spearheading innovation and sustainability in India's energy sector. Joining him also is going to be Vivek Anand Oberoi, partner NISUS Finance UAE, a multifaceted entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist who is shaping the future of sustainable and smart developments. And guiding this insightful conversation is our very own consulting editor, ET Now, Vikram Oza. There you are.
See, entertainment, there's a little bit of entertainment in all our lives. So yes, built to last, designed to disrupt. Is it? It's on? All right, good. So I was just telling you about the topic of discussion and how relevant it is, because entrepreneurship as we know it is going through a paradigm shift. There is a lot of balancing to do in today's context, because yes, you have to be profitable, but you have to be sustainable as well. You have to be disruptive, but you have to ensure that disruption doesn't come at the cost of, well, there's social impact always at the heart of a lot of businesses, and we're seeing more of that come through. So when you talk about all these differing or maybe opposites, how do you balance it, is something that I wanted to discuss with Devansh Jain and Vivek Oberoi. Vivek, of course, has been disruptive in his own career by switching from entertainment as a profession to entertainment as a hobby. But how do you do that? How do you do that, Vivek, when you diversify as much as you have? Because I'm seeing the spread. It's finance, it's real estate, and it doesn't stop there.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Vikram. I think the journey from being an actor in front of the camera to being a director or managing director in the boardroom is quite an interesting one. It does bring in a lot more responsibility. I had to probably study and learn and equip myself with knowledge and information more than I studied when I was in school or college, with a focus to being an actor. But that did pay results. I think what's interesting, the predominant difference is anything that you want to scale. How do you scale beyond a point? I was lucky enough to have the leverage of, celebrity, being able to create more reach. But I found that the variables in my industry, whether you want to scale it economically, whether you want to scale it in terms of volume or content, it's still very limiting. I mean, it's very difficult to mitigate the variables that are there. And that's the reason I chose real estate. I felt that real estate was a strong space where I could, on the one hand with B&W Developments, scale the luxury real estate portfolio, which we're doing in the UAE, which by the grace of God, we're at almost $7 billion US now across 22 projects that we're doing there. So that scaled really well, 400 people working in the team. And then NISUS Finance came in with a great legacy of about 15, 16 years. Amit Goenka, a brilliant guy, doing phenomenally well in India. We partnered for the UAE market, raised $1 billion. We should have assets under development over the next couple of years of anywhere between $2 to $3 billion there. And there the idea was, how do you take assets that could be optimized below replacement value,
right,
and then rework those assets? How do you integrate technology to make it interesting? How do you create value that's exponential from there? And that's what we're seeing across the first 6 projects that we've acquired. We're seeing some phenomenal numbers. We're seeing anywhere between 24-25% IRR on dollar terms, all the way to 32-33% IRR on dollar terms. So I think that was very, very exciting in terms of how I could scale and create positive impact. We're also venturing into, for example, public housing.
Yes.
Right? In a place where everybody's talking about the gaming resort on Marjan Island, where we as B&W Developments are doing a lot of developments there. But how do you also bring in high-quality public housing for all those people that are going to be working in all these resorts? So those are the kind of thought processes that we're working on.
So there are a lot of synergies that you build into the diversification that you do when you try and pull it all together. When it comes to you, Devansh, because I know your great-grandfather started in newsprint trade. From there to come into fluorochemicals and then to come into renewables through your father and now you, that is a long stretch as well. And then to kind of see how you can synergize your operations towards a push for the future, because obviously you are scouting for possibilities of growth in the future. How do you actually decide that that's the direction to take when there is so much happening in every sphere?
Look, to be honest, Vikram, there is some method to this madness, you know. When Dad started the fluoropolymer business, and as they say, you've got to be agile and nimble-footed, right? And disruption is the name of the game. But effectively, he started with refrigerant gases. And there was the Montreal Protocol and the Kyoto Protocol, which eventually led to sunset of refrigerant gases. So we thrive in disruption. And Dad forward integrated into fluoropolymers. Yeah. So when you go into fluoropolymers, it elongates the entire life cycle for refrigerants because there is no greenhouse gas emission. Now, when we were in fluoropolymers, that's also the time when I was studying at Carnegie Mellon. I was getting done with my degree. And as I say, business is in the blood. I was always hearing business, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whenever it was. You just wanted to come back. So I did a dual degree and I came back in 3 years because I wanted to work.
Yeah.
And when I came back, we had these large cash flows. And we were looking at a diversification opportunity. Fortunately for us at that point in time, we also had the world's first UNFCCC registered CDM project, carbon credits.
Right.
So, we started seeing that, there is money in greening the world. And I'm talking about 15 years ago when renewables energy transition weren't as sexy as they are today.
Correct.
So at that point in time, we worked with McKinsey and a lot of these other guys to figure out where do we go. And I thought that wind is going to be the future. Of course, solar eventually now with disruption. So that's how we went about building the wind business. There were a lot of pitfalls, challenges, whatever we heard from McKinsey. They probably give the same strategy paper to 20 people. But you got to learn those and then navigate those challenges and create a model where you succeed.
Correct.
When we listed wind in 15, in fact, I was just talking to Nikunj outside. It was the largest IPO in India in about 2.5 years. And at that point in time, 1,000 crore IPO was huge. Today, 10,000 may be the norm. But effectively, that's how we went about building businesses. I think when it came to disruption and capturing value, it's no secret today, the two biggest investment themes globally are digital and energy transition. And what we are trying to do at Inox GFL is be at the forefront of energy transition. So we've gone from EVs to batteries, to wind, and now a large foray into solar, and a large IPP which we're building out. Having said that, across EV and batteries, the heart of the batteries and EVs are fluorine, which is what Gujarat Fluoro did. So there is method to the madness. It's not as if we went from steel to cement to finance, right? And I think in renewables, we are now capturing the entire RTC, hybrid, and FDR play, where every time we sell a turbine, everyone wants a solar piece to it. So we say, why don't we just get into solar as well? So there is complementarity to the business we're doing.
Right.
And we control a large part of the grid, 15 gigawatts.
Right.
So when we control grid, you can load wind and solar on the same grid under hybrid and RTC. So that's how we're going about building these ventures.
So it evolves gradually, this entire thought process. It's not disruption for the sake of disruption. You obviously spot an opportunity, but you build as you go along.
I think the key differentiator is, in both cases, has been that earlier the focus in any kind of business was just forward integration and backward integration. But now it's lateral ecosystem building. You build a whole ecosystem, and that kind of helps amplify growth exponentially.
So disruption is in building an ecosystem and to build that architecture before you get into it. How easy is it to do that, especially when you're looking for finance? Do you look at internal accruals, or do you go out and decide that, look, I need to sell this disruption idea? Go ahead.
Look,
since you did it.
Raising capital or finance could be easy or difficult. And, the way I say it is, if you've created value across the group or in businesses which you've been, it becomes that much easier. And if you've been through hell, and I tell you, Inox Wind was literally bankrupt when 30 players went bust. At that point in time, going and raising even 100 crores was a pain. And I'm not talking about the group, I'm just talking about the renewable arm. Today, we've created such massive wealth across wind, green, EV, that for us, we've, given where the markets are today, we've in fact just closed about 3,000 crores in the past 30 days, and at a pre-rev level in one of our EV ventures. I think what's important for many other businesses, it has to be a balance of valuation and internal accruals. Right. Look, if you're really going to go out and build something big, and if you're just going to keep waiting for internal accruals, it's going to take too long.
Right.
But if you can create value or show a moat, which is disruptive, a lot of stuff which Vivek is doing, or possibly what we're doing in our IPP company now, the valuations are so large, and people trust you because you've created value.
Yes.
That you can raise large amounts of capital to build out these businesses. That's how we are building our businesses.
So quickness is an important piece. When you're looking at an idea and it looks good to you and you're convinced about it, but to be able to kind of build on it, you need to kind of have all guns blazing. Vivek, when you were looking at scaling, you are looking at the possibilities within the entire ecosystem that you were trying to create. What exactly were you gunning for? What was the overriding theme that you had in mind that this is where I need to be? How clear were you on the other side, or do you build it as you go along? Because there is a certain element, like I started out by saying, of social impact, which is an important piece as well. How much do you need to factor that in when you see that image of the final, what you're getting at?
Well, Vikram, it depends on the business. I'm involved across a spectrum of businesses, but when I'm looking at real estate, it's all fine to later say, oh, we thought of it well in advance. But some of it is on the fly, like when you're an actor and you're improvising in the middle of a scene, you have to improvise as you see opportunities coming along. With the biggest gaming resort in the world coming in at Marjan Island, at B&W Developments, we were the first mover, so we got a big advantage. Today, we have a large, a substantial portfolio there, but the growth that we never anticipated. It would be really fake of me to say that we thought it would, explode this way. But that allowed us a platform to now enter Dubai with strong financial backing. And just like Devansh said, that earlier it was a push mechanism where you had to go and knock on doors for capital, and now it's a pull mechanism. People will chase you, and you keep building from UHNIs, family offices, now institutions knocking on your door saying, can you do the same thing for us? But at the same time, with NISUS Finance, the whole idea was on the sustainable or SDG aspect. How do we tie in with a sovereign guarantee structure for really high quality, sustainable living, but for public housing? How do we make that available where they're insulated against the kind of tremendous value increment that you're seeing in the luxury segment? And how do you make that grow hand in hand? At the same time, with NISUS now, we've managed to build a really large portfolio with global giants coming in and knocking at our door. So if you say, what's the goal? How do you set a vision? I think with B&W Developments, the inspiration was Emaar. So how do we become the next Emaar, right? With NISUS Finance, it was like, how do we create a regional Brookfield, a regional Blackstone? How do we get there? What's the playbook to do that? How do we scale exponentially to achieve that? And since both companies are young but have already achieved remarkable milestones in a very short window, I think we're on the right path.